Two with the pivo. See if this side is our better side for the moment, and then maybe we can turn around later once it's figured out where we are. And the question is it just going to stay with us or not? All right. So I am Jenny Brandon. I'm an animal communicator and energy healer for animals and their people too. And my buddy and I, Storm, are working on balance. We are working on his coordination and my coordination. And the spot I am focused on at the moment is my low back, because that's one of the places that I hide some tension. So I am working to make sure that I am not carrying tension. And with him, we are really working on balance in all three dimensions. His coordination, his alignment of his spine. I should say beginning with the alignment of his spine. Making sure that there is no rotation and that it is organized straight front to back. So we're a little fussy from the bugs today. That's all right. So when I ride, right now I'm focusing on my low back and checking in with my engagement core. Make sure that I am properly engaged so that I can release the low back. So I'm balancing between my legs and my pelvis, my seat. I'm constantly looking for the alignment and the engagement of his pelvis, making sure his pelvis is level and not twisted. And these are all things that you can feel through your seat, through your body, through the neck, with the reins in your hands. But it takes time and practice to begin to be aware of them. First step is be aware of your own body, because if you don't know where that placement is in space, then you're not going to be able to organize a horse. If you aren't aware of the impact that your body has on the horse, then that is not make you effective as a rider. So as of right now, the right direction is his stronger side, but it's apparently the only side the pivo can focus on yet. So we are here. We have a clunk in his shoulder. So at the moment I am constantly checking in with my pelvis, constantly checking in with my low back. One of the little tricks that I do for that is to put my fingers on his neck. So it's really easy to have the back of your fingernails on the neck against the mane a little bit as you ride. He is a little tricky because his neck moves a lot, and I'm not trying to restrict that. That's a direct correlation to where his balance is. A little lateralizing in the walk. He's probably a little tight in his back right now. So that was a little bit of an odd step. Felt like a release in the hind end somewhere. So the way I ride is a very internal exploration. It's a very internal awareness. And so I am constantly checking my pelvis. Is it level? Do I need to shift more weight in one direction or another? A little bit of a wobble there as he's trying to figure out his back and his coordination. Check in with my low back. He can't really access his low back effectively unless I'm able to access mine. So this is a two-way street, right? When you put two dynamic bodies together at the same time, you have to be done. You're in the right, because your positioning affects their position. It's not a bike. Bike's just going to fall over when you're out of balance. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can get creative. Woohoo! Wake up, buddy. Good job. He just had a really big release right there, so I'm also not completely surprised. We got a little spook. There's a lot of ways you can cheat on a bike too, right? Kayaks are a great example. Stand-up paddleboard. If you get too out of balance on a stand-up paddleboard, you're going down. You're gonna go for a swim. The problem is with horses and even bikes to a certain degree is that we can get pretty out of balance. Still figure it out. And most people aren't aware of just how out of balance they are and or their horses are. And being a live animal is significantly more triggering to the nervous system than a bike. That's not to say that bikes, kayaks, all of that isn't triggering to the nervous system. It's just that something about being on a horse can hit our nervous system even more. So he's feeling a little disorganized today. There's another little ripple through his shoulder. His mouth is working pretty hard, so that tells me he's got a lot going on in the back end. I don't ever want to restrict that. Frankly, I don't ever want to restrict any of their movement. The question is, can I ask them to improve the quality of their movement? Can I ask them to change the kinesthetic patterns that they have in order to find a better? So, snaffle, attack, no fancy anything. Somebody's pinging me. All right, it's nothing important. That's good. And we keep it simple because I want a really clear picture of what my body is doing and how my riding, my cues are affecting him. And I want an honest picture from him of what his quality of movement is. We're getting some tightness here today. That's very interesting. This is the little downhill in our arena. Can't you see the big old slope? But what's fascinating is that slope is barely visible, but yet he is kind of tightening and locking his back. So I think he has run around a little bit extra because they're now getting some grass every day. So he's had some little canters here and there, and he might have kind of overdone it himself a little bit. He is 24, so no spring chicken, but we are still working very earnestly. We ride at least once a week. We're excited to get 2 or 3 times a week, but that all depends on the schedule and the weather. So I go back to my checkpoints. Where's my low back? Where is his alignment? And how are we organized? Is my pelvis level in the saddle? Or is me in one direction or the other as we're working? So I put that on repeat in my head, right? Like, where is my low back? Where is his spinal alignment? Where is his pelvis? And then I go back. Where's my low back? Where's his spinal alignment? Where's my pelvis? And so you're starting to nail things when you go to check in and suddenly it's where it belongs. And at that point, once that starts to happen, like an entire ride, then you can start to look for something else to modify. Something else that needs some attention that probably wasn't getting the attention because you were in the middle of those other 3 things. That did not feel quite as good. I'm gonna give this a few more minutes, and then I think we're gonna turn around and go the other way and see what we get. Where are we at? It's probably about 10 minutes. I turned on my Pivo, didn't cooperate, so we had minutes of technical issues before we got started. Like this very small space some days. There we go. So one of the other things that I do is when I'm working on something and I'm feeling like I'm not getting the responses that I need, I check the other side. Like at a certain point, I don't even ask. Like I just go, well, if this side isn't working, maybe the other way will work. And so I just move. I shift my weight, I adjust my cues, my commands, whatever I'm working with, my leg aids or my rein aids. I just switch and see what happens. Two things are gonna happen. One of two things. Either it's gonna get worse or it's gonna get better. And if it gets better, then you discover something was hiding that you didn't know about. And if it gets worse, you know you're on the right track to wait longer. Because sometimes we don't wait long enough as we are working through something to actually get the trust ourselves right away. We go, oh, I didn't get what I was looking for, or I must not be doing it right. And the problem is wait long enough. Our animals can change incredibly fast, but when they are building muscle and shifting habits, it can be pretty slow, subtle work. So in order to really have a good, solid, noticeable change, you have to spend some time really investing in that change and letting it stick. So this is interesting. He feels slightly better walking and his neck got a lot longer. I just kind of switched my weight into the right side instead of the left side here. And it seems to be helping. So we're going to continue to play with that for a few more minutes. So I check my low back, I check his spine, I check the pelvis. I look for, has he pushed me off balance somewhere that I'm not aware of? I check in with my fingers on the neck. Check in with my low back. Check in with my pelvis. Because more than likely, if he's carrying some extra tension in his back, there's somewhere, it's gone somewhere. It's twisted something. So I have to see if I can find what that is so that I can adjust. All right. So this is going pretty good. The bug swats are probably throwing him off balance a little bit more. So I'm going to see if we can kind of tune in a little deeper. See if we can be a little bit more clear. It was a little better, but locked up, I think. It's going to be interesting to see what we get when we get. Good at managing your ride this way because a lot of changes that happen constantly. little better, but I think we're just going to be working through that one today. All right, let's switch directions when we come around to the far corner and see if we can get Pivo to keep up. So this will be interesting too, because this is coming into the point where he's been locking his back up a little bit. So we'll see what happens when I make this a tighter turn instead of going straight and down our little hill. So we're getting a lot of release. There went the Pivo. Hey, Pivo. Maybe you're still with us. Come on. Let's see if we... All right. Hopefully we're gonna be all right. Here's our up. Doing all right. Hey, Pivo, come on. Come on, Pivo. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Oh, I think we're making it. I think we're managing. All right. So, first thing I do when directions. So we're getting a lot now, really long neck swatting bugs. It's really releasing that top line. I check in with my low back. Am I still keeping my low back released? Am I still engaging my core? You know, you're working hard, buddy. Am I still releasing my core? Or not releasing my core, releasing the low back, engaging the core to maintain my balance. This is now our little downhill, so he paused and was definitely considering what to do here. I'm also finding it interesting he did not want to go straight down the slope, as more of a choice since we're not supported by a fussy. So can we come into this turn and be prepared? Hopefully not have to worry about bugs. Some pesky bugs. And then help support ourselves and maintain the straightness. Tell him, no, I don't want you falling into the turn. I want to carry ourselves to the turn. So I'm looking, where is my pelvis? Is it balanced and level? Where is he trying to put me? Is the spine aligned? He says that's really hard. Don't want to keep moving forward. I say that's okay, we can keep trying. What I love about that, it really puts us in the driver's supporting our horses. So this work supports through all kinds of ailments and issues and helps them find better balance and coordination along with us. Like, the side benefit is that we get better balanced and coordinated, which is pretty cool. So yep, you kind of went over that, sir. Good job. But he does with dropping hind end, a little bit of, but this better coordination, using that DSLD and continue to progressive. And when you're asking the horses to coordinate itself correctly, you get better movement, and that can heal injuries and also prevent injuries because they are better coordinated. All right, let's try this turn again so we don't trip ourselves, yeah? There you go. Better, much better. So now we're on the massive downhill. A little tightening. A little bit of like, I don't know where to put my legs. Good. That was an interesting exploration. It wasn't nearly the same as it had been. Our line, all right. More of a curve. He's blowing his hair into dust. We're still trying to get all the hair off. So this is really all about going back to the same things over and over again. It's very meditative in that way. Like, it's the same as sort of clearing your mind, but this is moving and asking the body to continually find better quality balance. I can tell that day is how much his scuff. I know we are on the days his goes away. Today seems one of those days a little bit, but that's all right. But based on the spook with a big body clunk earlier and some of this tightness coming around corners and turns, I'm thinking we've got some stuff going on. So he's probably working himself through another level of change, layers of changes. You walked over it again. I asked you to turn. We didn't make it. There we go. That's their bed. So I try to avoid it when I'm trying to, but that's not easy in a small space. So overall, this is really great. I'm very pleased with how we're doing, but I'm just noting that he's struggling today. So I've been working long enough to not let that shake my confidence that I should be doing something different too much. He's probably just having a not great day. Like I said, he's gotten more movement lately. I know he's run around a little bit when he's been out on the grass a couple times. He doesn't normally do that. So that felt wider. Something underneath just shifted. And that felt better than it has coming down down our massive hill. Something is working. To be patient enough that I wait for the effect to take hold. I wait for those shifts to really get stronger. Because here's the problem, right? When you've been moving with tension, when you've been organizing your body through tension rather than through balance and coordination, you aren't using the muscles that you need for better coordination. and therefore those muscles are weak. So the first thing that happens when you start to release an old pattern is you get wobblier. You start to see the moments of the good coordination going through, but there's stability because the muscles have to build up the strength. So patterns, and the result of that is time. So if you don't sit in that window of instability long enough to really set that new pattern, it's not going to stick. If you change what you're doing too quickly, then those changes aren't going to stick. You're going to end up somehow reverting back to the old patterns in the process. So this is a little bit of one of those waiting games where you kind of have to be patient and let things come through over the course of minutes. These little signs you're moving in the right direction, but they all at that. And on the first day or direction, there, it might look like a calmer horse. It might not look like anything else than that. That is one of the first keys that tells you you're on a right track, is when you start getting calmness rather than tension and worry. So if your horse isn't finishing a work session calmer than when they started, it's probably a good idea to evaluate what your system is and what you're working on. It's not to say it'll happen every day, but it should happen the majority of the time. Ending up stressed out should be an exception because everybody's allowed to have a bad day. Between the two of us, Lord knows I have bad days more often than the two of us. We're allowed to. That shouldn't be every time. And if you have to end on the greatest note, that's okay too. It happens to all of us. They are still going to stick with it and continue to improve, even though you might have ended one session in a not great place. Because here's the thing, like I said, those new muscles are weak. And if you accidentally work a little too hard because you were going in the right direction and you got excited about it, and then all of a sudden they fatigue really hard and crash, it's okay. That new pattern is still there. And that new pattern on the whole is going to feel better to them, and they're going to want to be in it more than not. So it's important to not worry too much about how you're ending as much as the quality of work in the middle. You should be in a lot more relaxed, happy. You should be able to start off. I hear people all the time, oh, I have to work for 20 minutes before I get back to where I left off the day before. That tells me that there's something about that program that isn't nearly as beneficial as it could be. Because they shouldn't have to remember the work like that. Horses are super intelligent. Their bodies are super intelligent. And they have the capacity to be able to manage that kind of thing. So I think this is our quitting point today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us for this ride. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. Oh, gotta turn Bevo off.